Okay. Uh, Evening, everybody. Welcome to your jury roundtable. Um, I am pleased to get to meet you all. I think my job, as I see it tonight, is to try and set you all up to make the most informed decision you can about who should be the person to represent your season as the winner. I think try and get as much in the open this evening. Uh, Maybe get a little bit out. Maybe allow yourselves to think differently based on what other people say. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll know what you want to ask, what you want to hear uh, when it comes to the finale. Um, so I I'd like to start by asking just a couple of questions to get like a baseline. Just by show of hands, how many of you would say that you are, let's go with 90% or more sure already of who you'll be voting for? Okay, two people. Okay. And then I want to be clear, no judgment on this one because I think it's perfectly valid. Uh, how many of you would say that there might be a bit of bitterness in how you're viewing how the game's gone for you? Okay, two as well. Okay, interesting. I mean, I think the best way, in my opinion, having done these before, to get onto like a more well-rounded thought through discussion is to like try and get the bitterness bit aired and out of the way first, and then we'll come to like a more organized look at each of your finalists. So Lily, you've had your hand up. Talk to me about what you're feeling and why you raised your hand.
I'm just bitter towards all of them. It's all good. I really feel like I'm really going into it mostly with an open mind. I mean, obviously Evelyn is my real life friend.
Hmm.
But the truth is she lied to me, I'd say probably just as much as Jake and Josh. I don't know. I think it just makes it more interesting. And I don't know. We'll see how much that impacts my vote. I definitely have
Hmm.
some questions for Jake and Josh mostly about why they chose to vote me out when they did.
Hmm.
But you know what? They both made it to the end. But I think that they both kind of wasted my time, especially knowing that they had the idol. Like I feel a little bit like I don't know why we had to go about it this way. So it does make me lean more towards voting my friend Evelyn, who I think had to really overcome a lot to get to the end.
Hmm.
Um, Whilst I feel personally, Jake and Josh did not really do what they needed to do to manage my vote very well. But
Hmm.
I'm really excited to hear what they both have to say too.
Okay, perfect. And Scott, you raised your hand as well. From your perspective, where's your potential bitterness coming from?
So this is an interesting thing for me, just because like out of the three people that are left, I only really worked like really like worked with one person, and that was Josh
Hmm.
throughout the merge. And he was one that like going into the jury, it was like, okay, there were three votes for Jake after he like, I mean, he used his title obviously, but there were three votes for Jake. I thought me, Justin, and Josh had all voted for Jake. But then I found out that actually me, Evelyn, and Justin voted for Jake. So it's like it just makes me think because I mean I know we all lied. I did some dirty stuff. I said I wasn't gonna vote for people. I know I love you, Lily, but I did a lot of things that I did a lot of saying I wouldn't vote for people when I did vote for them. But like I had many chances to vote for Josh. And
Mhm.
I did not. And I really did mean it when I told him that like my allegiance at the merge was to Josh and Justin. And I like was not going to turn against them. So the fact that he did vote for me, I don't know. It just leaves a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, but that's a bitter taste in other people's mouths. So like it's like almost like a full 180. So like there's that. And also I do find it hard to make a decision just
Mhm.
because like I'm a little bitter towards Josh, but I worked with him for a good amount of the time. Didn't really get the chance to work or talk with Jake. And then Evelyn, I just think Evelyn's a sweetheart who I just enjoyed talking to on a personal level. So
Mhm.
it's really I'm like kind of made up with who I want, but also I could be swayed.
Okay, perfect. Before we move on, Justin's off camera right now. I just want to double check that Justin doesn't have any bitterness he wants to talk about before we move on.
I have quite a bit of bitterness kind of right now lingering on my mouth.
Okay.
I am currently to lose service. I will be home in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, in which case, I'll come to you in 2 minutes, and what I'll do is I can fudge 2 minutes, basically talking about how I want to do this. So what we'll do after Justin's
Perfect.
spoken, we're going to go through each juror, and I'm going to ask all of you 4 questions. What do you view as the strengths of their game? What do you view as the weaknesses of their game? What would you need to hear in the final tribal to get your vote? And what do you not want to hear from them? So those 4 questions we'll go through each person individually. And the reason why I'm trying to get anything bitter out is because what I really don't want to happen is that it starts seeping into that bit when we're trying to talk a little more. It's not objective, it's a subjective game, but a little more objectively. Um, I I think by the sounds of it, it's not too bitter a cast, so we should be all right. But like if I feel like you're going in circles or getting off track, I will tell you to shut up. Partially because it's 3:15 in the morning my time, and I'd quite like to sleep at some point. Um, Justin, you good? Can you talk to us? Justin, you're muted if you're wanting to talk to us.
I think his service might still be spotty.
Excellent. Well, it's just because he left and came back, and he said he'd be 2 minutes, so I thought maybe he was switching over. Um, I mean, do any of you can any of you like give me a hint as to who Justin might be feeling bitter towards? Because we can start with them, and then I can allow him to segue a little bit.
I'm
So,
guessing probably towards Josh, but he's here.
Yeah, that's
so
what I was thinking.
right, there we go. Justin, I just about managed to fudge enough time. Talk to me. What's getting your goat from a bitterness perspective?
So, I don't know. I try to be a player that I really try to separate friendships and people I meet in the game. Like I really do try to separate that.
Mhm.
But after taking like a year and a half break and deciding this was my last org, for sure. I loved being back for the little short stint that I did, but I realized I don't have the time to do this. So Josh was in my first ever org. and I saw that he was here, and I was like, this is my last org. Like, I want to do anything I can to like make sure that we make it far together. So I get to merge, and I based like my whole game around like what I could do to protect him, this and that. And like there were so many rounds where he could have gone home and I sacrificed my fucking game and like my relationships in this game for him. And obviously he owes me nothing. Like he has his own individual game and I understand that 100%. And I'm not gonna fault him for that because at the end of the day, he did what was best for him and I applaud him for that. But deep down, like I felt so stupid because he made me feel so fucking good. And I feel like a fool because I trusted him too much. But I can't fault him for cutting me at 4 because I planned on cutting him at 4 anyway if the final 4 was me, Scott, Josh, and Jake. So I can't really fault him for that. But I don't know. It's just like I hated how he preached and preached and preached that we were gonna go so far together, and then he just did it the way he did it, and it hurt me. And he couldn't even come up with a solid answer as to why he was voting me out. Like he was just like I. I'm like, well, I need you to say something. Like, please say something. But I don't know. It just like it hurt me because it's the second time he's cut me for 4th. In the first org we played together, he did it this time too. So it's just like it just brought back that like, oh fuck you, Josh. But at the end of the day, like I still love the guy. Like, and I probably am leaning towards voting him tonight. Evelyn,
Okay.
on the other hand, like I absolutely adore her. I think she's such a sweetie. And like I think, like Lily said, she really had a fight to get here. And I applaud her for that because sometimes when your back's against the wall, that's when people play their best game. And I think she did what was best for her. I can't think of anything where she absolutely like took control of a situation during merge, but I think she played what was best for her and survived the way she needed to. And then Jake, honestly, like that's a king. I can't lie. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on.
Okay. Uh, right. I mean, yeah. I said I wanted to go through this. Justin touched a little bit on all three there, but let's do this in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Evelyn. Um, I'm happy for you to have a discourse as long as you don't start talking over each other. I'll let the conversation flow freely if you want to respond to each other and stuff. So first question for Evelyn. What was the strengths of her game as you've seen? Anyone want to start?
I've got one kind of big thought on this as someone who didn't talk to Evelyn much. I think a lot of the game was defined by pre-existing relationships, secret relationships, and sometimes both. Evelyn and Lily was one of the pre-existing relationships that was not a secret relationship, and I think she had one of the more good approaches to that, where the two of them ultimately were willing to lie to each other. They didn't make their pre-existing relationship a barrier of play to the other players, which I think is really admirable, and I respect that a lot.
Okay. Anyone else? Memphis.
I think one thing that like kind of touching on her relationship with Lily, but just in general, I think that Evelyn aligned herself with the right people because I know how people said that like, oh, she had to fight for herself. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think every single time she had the chance to go home, I think other people fought for her. The reason why I didn't target her in early rounds was because Lily fought for her and because I was so close with Lily. I didn't want my relationship with Lily to be hurt by going after Evelyn. And another point in time, I was talking with Josh. This was at the Cody vote. We had to think of a backup plan because we thought it was going to be a like surprise tribal council. And we're like, okay, like who would be the backup in that situation? A lot of people said Lily, and a lot of people said Evelyn. And I was pushing for not Lily. And one name that came up was Evelyn. And I brought it up to Josh. Josh said, no, I'm not comfortable voting out Evelyn. And Jake was like, I am comfortable voting out with Evelyn, whatever. But Josh was vouching for Evelyn. And I think in that sense, like she aligned herself with the right people. Whether we give credit to those people or to Evelyn for that, I'm not sure. But that I think that is a highlight of her game.
Okay.
I want to touch on that though, is Evelyn's name was out from the beginning of the game. Like, she received a vote on the first tribal council. She was quickly made an easy target. So, and that kept coming up and coming up throughout, especially in pre-marriage. I do think with this jury, it is really interesting because we only have one person that all of the finalists started playing with from the beginning of the game. So, I do think that a huge part of the game happened before any of us even really started playing the game. So, and Evelyn really had to do a lot there, being targeted, from the get-go.
Okay.
With that, to kind of bounce off of that again, like I said, I'm not sure if that's Evelyn who's doing it for herself or other people, because when I talk strategic conversations with her, like we played Call of Duty for like 2 hours one night, played zombies together, and she's awesome. I think she's a great person. She's really cool. But during those times, like I was kind of wanting to get some strategy out of her and like get her to talk. So I'm like, hey, like this is a point in time where I could switch over or whatever it may be, because I was like fully aligned with Jake at this point. And she never really did anything that made me want to be like, okay, I want to save Evelyn or I want to work with Evelyn. Like to me, it was like the stronger personalities like Josh and stuff that were doing so much. And in those earlier rounds, like she was saved because Josh and Topher flipped over to work with her. And like, I don't know if that was as much her doing or other people. Obviously, we weren't there and we can't do it. But I think that's my problem with it. Is it seems like when I put an effort to talk to her and to get her to work with me, or to even like fight for herself, be like, hey, don't vote for me. She was like, I know it may be me tonight. Just like I'm sad if I go home, like stuff like that. It's like give me more than that. And I felt like I was getting way more than that from her allies and not her. And I think that's my issue with her in that situation. But I think you
Okay.
make some great points where she did make it pretty far because of like those things, you know.
Scott?
I'm just gonna kind of like not really bounce off, but like I mean, people are saying they feel like whether Evelyn fought for herself or if other people fought for her. With me, honestly, I didn't really want to vote out Evelyn just because I liked talking to Evelyn. Like we didn't really talk game at all, but she had a really good personal social game and she just really got you to like her. Like we didn't go on that many calls, but like the one or two calls we did go on, I left them feeling really good about Evelyn. We didn't talk game on the calls, but I didn't want to vote her out because I just genuinely enjoyed having her in the game. And I just think that is the true definition of a, maybe it's not game, but it is a social game. It is a personal social game. And I tend to play, maybe not the best in this one, but I tend to play a social game as well. So I can respect a social queen when I see one. And I don't care if people were fighting for her, if she was fighting for herself. All I know is I never really wanted to vote for her because I just liked having her in the game because she was sweet and she was nice. And she would flat out come to me and be like, I'm not voting for you. She didn't vote for me. The one round she did vote for me, she didn't say she wasn't voting for me. So I can't be mad at her. Like, I can't. So I just, yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm babbling.
Yeah,
No
no,
problem. Justin?
I want to say a really big part of her game that I feel like no one really noticed is that like how much information she actually gave to people if you really listened. A big reason why I voted out Lily was because she quite literally told me 15 minutes before tribal when I was locked in on Jake, she was like, "Look, Lily thinks you and Scott are a dangerous duo." And then that clicked in my head. I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. I was like, shit, like I need Lily gone. Lily's like looking at me. Someone's looking at me. Like I need Lily gone. So with that, if their whole intention was to get to the final five with 3 Hercynian, that was the move that kind of like opened that up for them, for me personally. And I think that's huge and she deserves that credit. And like her opening up like to me, and I forget if it was me and Cody or me and Scott on the live, like the first night call, she was very open and honest about everything that went on at Hercynian and she was like very blunt about it. And like that made me trust her and want to work with her. And I think when she gave people the information, it was somewhat factual, but it made a difference in the game. And I think a lot of people weren't as like upfront with that type of information like right away. And I think that really benefited her and it got her to where she is today.
Okay. Lily?
I just want to add to that. I think that Evelyn needs to explain that. I hope that maybe we can try to give her some opportunities. I think she is a newer player and, she's not as good about getting to the strategy. But I feel like if we give some questions to her and we can see if these choices she were making, how strategic were they? How much was she thinking about it? I would be really curious to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to touch on that more when we sort of talk about what you would and wouldn't want to hear from her at Tribal. Before we move on, Michael, were you trying to get in again? I saw you go off mute for a moment.
Nothing really important. I was just going to say to Scott's point earlier about the social game that it could say something about a flaw in Josh or Jake's game if Evelyn is the person who everyone likes and they just let her get to the end with them, especially considering those two. They're a real pair of bridge trolls who no one really likes. So, what are they doing with that?
Which is funny because I think you're the most disliked person on this cast. So for you to be saying that is kind of hypocritical, but not disliked personally, but like game wise.
Right. Well, yeah, that was a joke.
Right. I mean, let's move on to potential weaknesses of Evelyn's game. I mean, I want to ask a question for one or more of you to answer first. It was Raisin's strengths that she had to fight every round and that her name was constantly out there. Is that definitively a strength, or can that be seen as a weakness that you're not able to get a target off your back? Like which way does that go? And aside from that, any weaknesses that we haven't touched on with Evelyn's game? Memphis?
I think like with that, like I said, my biggest issue with her is that case where it's like her name was always out there, but she seemed so passive about it. Where it's like if your name is out there, like you should be fighting for your life. I get that sometimes it's a strategy to like kind of let it go like by the wayside. But I think that it's like she to me it seemed like it was incredibly passive, but also because she's so social, it's like I can't tell if that's a weakness or not. But I think my dislike of it is that it was passive and I wish I got more from her in that effort to like really get her name out of there.
Okay, perfect.
I would say Justin mentioned as a strength of hers the information she gave people for strategic decisions. But early on, I only kind of got one glimpse of that, and it was secondhand through Lily, and it seemed like a weakness. So I do want some clarification from Lily on this. Was the whole thing where she said her vote was controlled to vote out John in the pre-merge real?
Um, I actually never confirmed it to her, so this is definitely a good question for us to ask. But I think it was completely fake and made up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident it was fake and made up.
because like
Yeah.
my thought on it is if it's a lie, it's a really dumb bullshit lie that makes no sense and is stupid. And if it's the truth, it's really dumb that she was trying to go to rocks for John.
Memphis, do you have some
Yeah, I have something to
clarification?
touch on that exact thing. So like I had a conversation with Evelyn about it where like Lily told me what she perceived to be true or like what Evelyn told her. And so I went to Evelyn, I was like, "Hey, I was just kind of asking about tribal councils." I said, "So like what was happening on your travels beforehand? Like what happened?" And she said in the vote against John that it was a 4-2 and that she voted John out. So she didn't dive into anything where she was trying to lie or anything like that, but I did like I brought it up to Lily to like drive a wedge in their relationship and said, "Hey, like Evelyn told me this information." So I never like fully like asked her. I was like, "Did this happen?" But like she just straight up told me she voted John out. So I'm sure if something more did happen, she would try to tell me about it. But I think the reason she told Lily was because of that close personal relationship. Because I know that if Jake did something to me in that sense where he like lied to me about something or like something happened and he wanted our relationship to feel more structured, he would do something like that. So if she were to tell Michael that, where she lied and it seemed like a bullshit lie. Sure, why would she do that to Michael? But it makes complete sense that she would do it to Lily. And I thought that was good strategy because Lily was really upset about it and she thought that she was telling the truth. I was the one that told Lily that she was lying. I was the one that like confirmed with her that it wasn't true. So I think Evelyn did a good job with that.
Okay.
I get the idea, but I don't think it makes sense to do that specific lie because, like, it's if you're going to lie to one specific person about a vote and then tell the truth to everyone else, then that also defeats the purpose of the lie, which isn't a smart lie in the first place. The
But
idea of it is smart, but the specifics are not.
I think the lie started though before we were merged.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were going to be going back to another tribal council. So
Mhm.
it doesn't play well to her to I see how in that moment, and I think it worked to some extent. In that moment, she lied to me to save face with me so that if we went back to council again the next time, you know, um, she would think that we would still be good and on the same page. When she probably was going to vote me out or support me getting voted out. Now, there were theories that Jake would have been voted out if we went back, but I don't know.
I do think that actually makes sense, mainly if she was planning to vote for you and banking on the chance that if she has an idol, this might be the thing that saves me.
Yeah, I think that like the only flaw with that was I think it worked really well in that moment, but then she should have double backed to Lily and said, "Hey, like I was really scared of this happening. I didn't know where our relationship stood. I want to let you know that like I did vote for John." So I think she could have handled that better in the sense where like there's no point in lying about it anymore. But I
Yeah.
do think, like you said, situationally it seemed to work really well.
Okay, so aside from this situation and what Memphis brought up, any other weaknesses on Evelyn, or are you all happy to move on? Oh, Justin?
I know this is kind of ironic because I did say like the information she did give out was really important and it really did benefit her game. But I felt like with Evelyn, you wouldn't get information unless you one got really, really good with her, which I feel like I did, which is why she started randomly giving me information. Or two is if you gave it out first. I feel like that was like one of the things that really hurt me when like I wanted to connect with Evelyn in the first place was that like I feel like she really had her guard up, which honestly I understand. If I'm coming from a situation where I'm going to tribal every single night except for once, and like my name's always on the chopping block, like I'm gonna be a little skeptical about who I can trust too. Um, but it really took us till final seven before me and her could like really connect on game level and even make our first call. And to me, I'm a little like annoyed by that because like I feel like she could have, if she really needed the help and the assistance from people, like she could have like reached out and like gave some information or just like tried to build the trust. But I feel like it didn't happen until I tried to build that wall, like gave her the olive branch that one time.
Okay, Memphis, got your hand up.
Yeah, something to like continue off of that I think is like a good point to highlight as well is like with Justin, I think that was like with a lot of us where like she didn't put in that active like she wasn't passive or she was passive with it where she like waited for people to come to her. And like whether that was strategy or not, I don't know. But I think this speaks to her agency in the game. And like with the people that did go home, I want to know from her, was it someone that people brought up to her, like Jake and Josh, were like, hey, this needs to be the vote? And she's like, okay, as long as it's not me because her name was out there. Like, how many names did she say, like, oh, I want so and so out, or I want to work with so and so? Like, to me, it doesn't feel like she had a lot of control on the pulse of the game. She just kind of like let it happen as it went. And that to me, I think is like when I vote for someone to win, it's like I want someone who controlled their destiny. So, and I think that, like, you know,
To kind of like carry off of that, for me, working with her from seven on, the only names that I feel like she really tried to push was Jake at five, which ended up technically happening, but like, sorry, Scott. And then at four, the only name she was pushing was Jake again. I feel like the only name she was actually really pushing this game was Jake. I think because of their beef from Hercinian into Merge, I feel like that really like pushed the narrative that she just really wanted Jake out. Whether it was true or not, that's all I really got from her.
Okay,
So I don't know.
fair enough.
I guess kind of also to go off that and the controlling her destiny. Does anyone here feel like they were a part of Evelyn's in-game plans and she lost control and lost you on the way?
I don't know. I feel like my problem is I have questions.
Well, I tell you what, that's the perfect comment because like let's move on to I'll go to each of you individually for these ones. I'd like to hear one thing you'd like to hear from Evelyn and one thing that sort of you'd not like to hear. I'll go in the order I see you on my screen. So Lily.
I just want to hear more about her strategy. Just in general, when she went into the game, what was she thinking? Um, and as she continued and was being targeted, what choices did she make? I just want to know how intentional it was, because I do think that people have to play with lots of different strategies, and
Mhm.
that just expecting someone to have agency over their game, like someone who was targeted in the beginning, like they might struggle to get that kind of agency that maybe you're looking for, but maybe that's not what we need. I don't want to hear, I just don't want to hear her relying too much on her social game. I
Okay.
just need to know that there was intentional. I need to hear the backstory. And if she
Okay.
doesn't give that, that's going to be a problem.
Fair. Scott.
Yeah, actually, it's like you're in my head, Lily. To like bounce off of what Lily said, it's kind of like what I said before. I didn't really get, as I had a really good like social personal relationship with Evelyn, I didn't really get to see that game. And so it really is going to be, I feel like she has to tell me of moves she made, tell me where her head was at game wise. And because if I'm going in voting for the person I like the most, probably Evelyn, but it's Survivor and it's not a popularity contest. So I do need to see, well, it kind of is, I don't know. You kind of have to see like what someone did in the game because, yeah, it's Survivor.
Okay. And anything you particularly don't want to hear?
Oh, something I don't want to hear.
Hmm.
Um, Honestly, I don't know if there's anything that she could say that like makes me mad. I don't know. I
Okay.
just want to hear the game. Yeah.
Perfect. Michael?
I would say the number one thing I'd want to hear about is her relationship with Lily, both how she approached that with Lily and how she approached that with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, kind of just that whole topic. And what I wouldn't want to hear is maybe like, oh, I'm so glad the three of us got to the end together, considering, as Justin said, she was targeting Jake the whole time. So I think if she leans into that as being like, I came in here with my tribe decimated and we powered through, that would be a little annoying.
Okay. Perfect. Justin.
I think the thing I really want to hear is I want her to explain her okay. I think the thing I really want to hear from her is her reasoning as to why she spilled the beans about what Lily supposedly said at Final Six, 15 minutes before the vote. Like that really like baffled the fuck out of me and it had me shaking in my boots. I cannot lie. I felt so confident going into that round and then she shook me to my core. So I want to know what her reasoning was. Was it just to like let me know at Final Five so we can go for Lily at five? Or like what was it? Because like it really like fucked with me. And the thing I don't think the thing I don't want to hear is like I just don't want to personally hear her say that like she just wanted to make me feel good at four. I think that would hurt because like I really did like Lily. Oh, not Lily. Well, I do like Lily, but I don't want to hear Evelyn say that like she was just trying to make me feel good at four and like her whole plan was to sit in the end with her singing because I think that would just hurt my ego. But on a like I think on a real note, like I don't think Evelyn could say anything that I don't already know that like would piss me off necessarily. So I don't really care what she has to say. I just want to know what she has to say. I think I need her just to explain her game.
Perfect. And Memphis.
Yeah, so the thing that I want to know is kind of similar to what Mike was saying, but it's like not necessarily her approach with Lily, but like going into this game, I knew that I was going to work with Jake no matter what because I felt like not a lot of people knew about our relationship, and I think that we worked together very well. And so I knew that no matter what, I wanted to find a way to make that happen. And so my question is or I want to know, like with Evelyn going into this game, did she want to work with Lily, or was she okay just like not working with her, whatever it is, because it seems like they lied to each other and whatever it was. And if that was the case, I want to know when that switch happened to her. Did she feel like she couldn't get in with the group that Lily was with, or like she felt like she was too far gone from that? Because I just really want to know her approach, because I think that Lily gave her so many chances, especially like with me when talking to me about her. And I felt like Evelyn never really entertained that with Lily. And I think that she lost out on having Lily really there for her. And the thing that I don't want to hear from her is that she was just there for vibes and she wants to have fun, because that pisses me off every single time I hear it.
Okay, perfect. Right. I think we've covered Evelyn pretty well. So keep going alphabetically. Let's move on to Jake. Strengths of Jake's game. Who'd like to start? Go on, Memphis.
I feel like I'm yapping a lot, but I think that like I can personally speak to Jake's game the most. So I think strengths that he had, for one, is that he was at the bottom of the other tribe. I know Topher said that Topher flipped over to work with them, but going into the swap, Jake was going to go home. And then even going into the merge, it seemed like Jake was going to go home. I don't know how confident some people are on that, but I heard from multiple people that like Jake probably would have gone home in that situation. And he was able to integrate himself in with not only them, but then also with other people. And I think that that's a really big strength of his. And then obviously the adversity that he faced too, like at 5, like he was going to go home. He had the idol. And I don't know how many people he told about it. I don't know if he told Josh. He told me about it before I went out, but certain things like that I think are really big strengths of him. And I think also it's like he aligned himself with the right people, where like kind of how Evelyn did, but it's like at certain situations, like Lily said Jake's name, that she wanted Jake gone, and I was always saying like I don't know if I feel comfortable getting rid of Jake. Like I but not in a way that I was like, hey, I want to keep Jake because of this. It's like I would give reasons to vote other people out over Jake. And I think Jake, not I wasn't the only person doing that, I feel like. And so I
Okay.
think Jake just integrated himself well, and he like faced a lot of adversity. And I think that's important because it's like he wasn't a top dog the whole game, but he like put himself in that position. So
Perfect. Justin.
I feel like I'm the exact opposite. I feel like I can't really like speak much on Jake's game. Like, I feel like at Final 10, like that's when I tried to pull him in. And I feel like we were like tight knit for a little bit. But then I feel like somewhere from like 8 to like 6, I just like realized that like I felt like the energy just shifted completely, and I felt like he just completely like let other people become the shields for him so that they would get targeted before he would, which I applaud in a player because I think that's a really important thing to have in games is shields. And I think Memphis was a shield of his. I think Josh was a shield of his. And I think his ability to have those shields was really, really important because I feel like at 5, that really gave him the power position to really put himself in the power like spot. And I think he was able to get what he wanted at 5 and 4. And I think that's huge. I think his game, like he built up enough trust with the people left to be able to powerhouse and dominate the end game. And I think that's impressive in itself, especially coming from such like a weak point in a game at one point.
Okay. Perfect. Uh, Anyone else want to come in? No? Okay. Oh, Memphis wants to come in. Oh, I'll let Lily go.
Just a small comment. Something that I found interesting is that, I don't know, maybe it's my opinion, but I felt like some of our challenges had more luck involved in winning some of the time. And we had our scavenger hunt challenge, which takes a lot more effort. While Jake put in tons of effort on that challenge, Josh scored 0 points and didn't even attempt anything. And I do think that shows that Jake is willing to work hard. He's willing to put in the effort. And doing so, I mean, that showed he got second place in that comp. And that showed that he's gonna put in the hard work, and it's risky to keep him going because he would do fairly well, I think, in things. And clearly he made it to the end. So I think that's a good thing about his game.
Okay. Memphis.
well, so I had something to bounce off of with Justin, but I'm gonna say what Lily said first. He beat me in the endurance comp where his tribe was gonna go to tribal if he lost that, and he beat me in it, and he would have gone home that tribal. So it's like Lily's saying, like he wants it, he pushed really hard for those things. And in that situation, it's like not only did he like won it, but it's like at 6 when or at 7 when I went home and Lily won immunity. I don't know if Jake was up for grabs. I don't think he would have gone home anyways. But it's like when he won for his tribe in the endurance comp, he really needed that. And then same thing at 4. I don't know if he needed as much as he needed Justin out, but he still beat Justin in that comp, and that is really important because like he put in the effort. Where Josh seemed like in that comp he just quit. Like he just seemed like he was done. Like I don't know. When Justin went out, Justin seemed physically drained. You could hear it in Justin's voice. You could see it in Justin's body language. Josh literally was just like, whatever, and he was on his phone like the whole time. Like it's like to me, it seemed like Josh was so complacent with things. It was like he was strategic, but he didn't really care. Where Jake like wanted it the whole entire time, and he put in the work to make it happen. And I think that's really impressive. And then yeah.
I mean, Memphis, did you said you had something about what Justin said before? Do you just want to
Yeah,
go
so
that quickly?
the thing where Justin was saying that Jake kind of disconnected him from Justin at 8 through 6. One thing that I think caused Jake to disconnect from you is at 7 you voted me out and you didn't include Jake in it, and it's like me and Jake were so closely aligned that it's like I think after that it's like he knew who he needed to forgive and who he didn't need to, and he didn't need to forgive you, but he needed to forgive Josh to keep him through the game, and so I think that it totally makes sense why your relationship would be disconnected after that. So that was like the only thing I had on that.
Perfect. Justin, did you want to come back on?
You know, now thinking about that, like in the moment, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I did kind of like get you sniped. So like real. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you ate that. You ate that little number. And then you brought up at Final Four during the immunity challenge. I also felt some type of way about Josh dropping like instantly. I played games with Josh before in a physical aspect, and like I know Josh is able to kill an endurance challenge if he truly wants to. I'm sorry if I'm able. Okay, so I have a really bad track record of doing endurance comps. Like they're my worst comps. I will own that. If I'm able to last 2 hours in a challenge where you just have to hold your hand to a fucking wall, he could have done it tenfold. So I think it was huge that Jake was able to prevail, and like I think he just already had the advantage in general. Because I mean that king has a lot of upper body strength. We can tell. Um, but I think he knew that it was him or I, and I think his fight, and he didn't just give up. I was really proud of him for that, and like that's why I was like ready to accept losing to him in that moment because I was like he needs this just as bad as I do. Like he's fighting for it. Like I'm proud of him, and I want to like he deserves that. Yeah.
Perfect.
And like one thing with that too is it's like not only did Jake need it more because it's like I wasn't sure, I wasn't there, so I didn't know if you won, if Jake was going to be the one going home or Evelyn or Josh, whoever it was. But it's like you can see from a different perspective too, where it's like he knew he needed to beat you, and if he wanted to make it to the end and fight for his case. But I think Josh should have seen you as a threat because I think a lot of us were willing to vote for you, and I think you would have proved your case very well at FTC. And it's like Josh should have tried to win so he could win the game, not so he could make it there. He knew he was going to get there, but it's like if he truly wanted to win this game and is doing everything he can, then he should have fought himself to beat you.
I realize there's some overlap, but we're veering into Josh territory a bit here. So let's stick with Jake for now. Before we move on to weaknesses, anybody else want to any strengths they want to bring up before we move on? No, I think we're good. Okay. Weaknesses in Jake's game. Anyone want to start? Is that a hand, Scott, or you just resting?
I guess the weakness is also kind of my fault too, but like we didn't really have a line of communication, but like that was also like kind of me too, but also I just think it was like we tried to work together and then it just kind of veered off and then I voted Memphis out, so like I knew that wasn't going to happen. So like I just feel like we didn't really have a line of communication and it felt like he wasn't around as much, but that was just for me. Like he was around for the challenges and stuff, but I feel like he wasn't around as much, but that would may have just been for me.
It felt that way for me as well. I really like Jake as a person. We definitely connected personally at several times. But it was really just difficult. And it started all back when we swapped. Like I felt like I really connected with Josh. Josh was really putting in the social effort. We were having really long conversations. And then like we go into the tribal where I voted for Jake. Jake literally did not reach out to me. And then like an hour before the tribal council, he went, oops, I didn't see your message. And while I totally get that, it happens to us all. But I go, yeah, but we had a tribal and you didn't think, maybe I should message Lily here. So I that is definitely a weakness to me, is I don't feel like Jake put in um didn't build enough social capital with me. So it's hard for me to want to lean in, especially both when Jake wasted my time also right before I went out. He had the idol. I don't know why Jake had to waste my time with entertaining an idea of voting Scott out. It felt just kind of like a slap in the face. Like, I'd already not been included before. I don't know why he chose to do it again. So
I,
that's where I'm at.
I mean, to counter that as an outsider, uh, is it possible, given from what I'm hearing, that he did a pretty good job of like disguising that he had this idol? Is it possible that he didn't want to give you a chance to bring it up to anybody else before you left?
It's possible. I think I'm definitely going to be asking Jake more about what he was thinking there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
Perfect. Memphis.
Yeah, so I'm gonna answer your question, Z, and then I'm gonna like not rebuttal, I'm gonna like say something with Lily as well. But with the idol, Jake got an extra dice roll every single time at the Big Brother night. So I think it was kind of assumed that Jake had a better shot at getting it. I don't think people were necessarily saying, hey, Jake has an idol, this, and that. But I think that like some people were thinking that if someone could get it, he would have the best shot.
Okay.
And then with that, Lily, like you were saying, with those social relationships, I think it's kind of in the same vein as Evelyn, where it's like, I think Jake put in the effort with people he needed to. And with the people he didn't, he had other people to do it for him. I personally think that a big reason why you were wanting to work with Jake or entertaining working with him is because I was like saying this, we can do this with him, whatever. And I think a lot of people, I was putting in effort for Jake there, where it's like if you were saying, hey, Jake is like not available, whatever, it's like I would always come up with excuses for him because I know he was texting me, but he's putting in the time that he can for certain people, and the time that he was able to put in gave him like dividends afterwards. So I totally get where you can feel like upset a little bit at him for not putting that effort with you, but I think the effort he did put in always worked for him. Because it's like at the end of the day, like he's there and you're not. So it's like him not putting an effort before tribal or whatever it is didn't really matter, but it does make you feel upset with him in the situation. So I think that is something you can like downgrade him on. But I also think you have to highlight like that he was able to work with the people he needed to in order to like put in the word for him.
That does sound pretty similar to what you brought up as a negative for Evelyn when you said, is people working with and for her more credit to her or more credit to the people working with and for her? And so I think that's ultimately a question that comes up with everyone in the game of Survivor, where alliances are just how it works. But
Yeah.
it does seem a little selective.
I think it is selective in the sense where like I get what you're saying, but I think also like obviously since I was working with Jake, I was seeing it in a different light. But it's like I think that Evelyn was more passive with it, where it's like Jake was doing it more intentionally. Where it's like the time and effort he was putting in was intentional. Where with Evelyn is I think that like it wasn't even time or effort, it was just like the skill, the tact of it. So
So yeah, so if I'm understanding you, Memphis, what you're saying is that the potential difference you view is that you feel that Evelyn might have just had people working to help her, possibly even without her knowledge, whereas Jake was making sure he had people to work for him. Is that what I'm
yeah,
taking
that's
from
what
it?
I'm saying. And then I think it's also like with the Lily situation, is it was like it wasn't anything Evelyn was doing. It's like because of the relationship, I didn't want to hurt Lily by getting out Evelyn. And
Mhm.
that wasn't Evelyn actively saying like all this stuff or even Lily. It was more so like me as a person. And because I was working with Jake, I knew how I would feel if people came for Jake. So it's like I was doing that by proxy, and I think she got lucky with that.
Okay,
So that
interesting.
wasn't anything she was doing.
Um, Michael,
Oh,
just how do you feel about what Memphis says there?
sorry, was that to me?
Yeah.
I'd like to say as a weakness for Jake is that as the person in the game who spent the least time with all three of the finalists, I uh I spent the least time with Evelyn by far, but I think more of the stuff people said about her when coming into Ponderosa, or even right now, and more of the stuff people said about Josh coming into Ponderosa and during this call has kind of impressed me than anything anyone has said about Jake in terms of his gameplay, which doesn't hold that much weight to me because ultimately most of my decision is going to be based on how the finalists stump for themselves. But I think it could be a bad sign that the people who are stumping for Jake, what they're saying at the very least doesn't resonate with me as much. And also for Jake, you know, it wasn't a stretch to see that I was going home at any point during my round. But the time when I realized, yeah, it's really Johnny Ballgame was when I was talking to Jake and he suggested we vote out Cody, who had individual immunity at the time. So there's a little bit, he could have done a little bit better with his bluffs.
Excellent. Justin, did you want to come on?
I just wanted to kind of like I think Mike kind of took the words out of my mouth when it came to like the Memphis thing, when it came to like the Evelyn, Lily, yada. Because like at times in the game, I felt like I was getting more info from Jake from you, Memphis. Like I feel like I was just getting more from Jake through you rather than from Jake himself. And like that was kind of like what like kind of pushed, and that's what made me go after you, because I realized I was like, if I want to get in with Jake, like I feel like you need to go. But then obviously, yes, here we go. So it's just like I personally want to root for Jake because I feel like he's an underdog, but I felt like a lot of his game was carried off of your back and your shoulders.
Okay.
But one thing I'll say to that is like obviously like I love Jake and I think that he played a good game, but I do want to highlight that I think somewhat that is true where like I felt like I was carrying things as like a downgrade to his game is that I was in a one-on-one with him and Josh. We had like a three-person alliance. Like there was a four-person alliance with Justin included, but then me and Jake and Josh had our own thing as well. And we were on call for like 2 hours one night, just hanging out. I think it was after Big Brother night or whatever it was. And me and Jake went on vacation recently to Texas. And like our relationship, obviously, like people knew, people didn't, but me and Jake were playing as secretive with it as possible. And like no one knew because we told them. And there was a time and point where like Jake was talking about he like brought up the Texas trip and I had talked about going to Texas too. I don't know like to who exactly, but it's like Jake brought it up to Josh on the call with all three of us kind of because he was saying something where like obviously if he was talking to you one-on-one, he's like, yeah, like when we were in Texas, whatever. And he kind of said that. And swiftly you like saw on his face that he realized what he did and he had to recover from it. Where he was like, oh yeah, when I was in Texas with my family on vacation. And in the moment, I was like, in my head, I was like, holy fuck, like shut up, stop talking, stop this. Cause like he could have blown it up in the moment. And I think that like that does show that like in the situation, like with what was going on, I felt sometimes I was like more intentional with things where it's like he felt like things could slip up. But I also think that shows like the genuinity of him. And like I think that I'm much better at lying than he is. And that speaks to like how good of a person he is in the same sense. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Perfect.
I have
Oh,
one more personal ick or weakness. I call it more of an ick than a strength, than a weakness, whatever. But I hate it when people kind of go about it in like a go about the game in like a Parvati shallow type of esque way. When people like go about like going like you're handsome, you're hot, like the flirtatious type of way where it doesn't feel genuine because it's in game. That really bothers me as a player. And like obviously like I'm like obviously we love a compliment, like it boosts our ego, I'm not gonna lie, but like I hate when players do that because it just doesn't feel genuine, and I feel like I got a lot of that from Jake, and rather than like actual like game talk, and that hurt. Yeah.
I I want to speak to that because that's just Jake who Jake is, not in a game sense, in a personal sense. So like obviously I'm dealing with mono right now, and like I it's like the worst thing I've ever gone through. And every single day he sends me these huge paragraph texts about like how like I'm so strong, how I can get through this, like all these things. He's like, do you want me to send you a gift basket, like all these things. And he'll throw in those compliments like, hey, you're handsome, like you're still like I told him I was insecure since I haven't been able to like work out and stuff. And he was like, you're still like all these other things. And it's like, I think that's just who he is in a genuine sense. And it's like he wasn't doing that to you in a game sense where he wanted to work with you because he called you handsome. It's just who he is. Like he's just gonna do that regardless. And it's like I get how for you personally it could be an ick, but I think for Jake, that's just who he is in general. Like he'll finish the game and he'll talk to you the exact same way.
See, that's what I want. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't like it. Just like this is my first time meeting him, so like seeing this in a game setting, it just makes me think it's just for the game. So like that's why I'm like it doesn't feel genuine. Like I don't care about compliments like outside of here, whatever. But like the thing is like in the game, like it just makes it feel fake. It doesn't feel like genuine, and it doesn't feel like we're actually connecting on a game level. It's just like that. I don't know, but that's just me.
And that's
Okay.
why I want to tell you that like I get why you feel that, but that's also just who he is in a personal sense too. So
I mean, oh, Justin. Oh, sorry. I thought you were putting your hand up. Okay. Right. Let's go through the things we would and wouldn't like to hear from Jake then. Lily.
Oh, what I want to hear. Um, uh, I don't know. Give me a minute. Come back to me.
Okay, that's fine. Go on, Justin.
I want to hear from him like his biggest move in the game that he can solely like claim or something
Mhm.
that he had a really big part of because like I feel like on my end I don't really know what he's done. Like I feel like because obviously I mentioned it, like, we kind of separated ways. I want to
Mhm.
know what he can claim and go like I did this and like impress me with. And do I have to say something I don't want to hear?
Yeah, preferably, unless there isn't one.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything. Like I kind of just, I want him to explain his game. I'm really excited to hear about his game. I feel like
Well,
out of the three, I'm so out of touch with his the most, and I really am excited to hear his plea.
Okay. Scott.
I'll be so real. I don't think there's anything I really need to hear from him or don't need to hear from him. I'm excited to hear him play, like make his case, but I don't think there's really anything that like I like need to hear or don't need to hear from him specifically.
Okay. Mike.
Yeah, I think similar to Justin, he's, as I said earlier, the person I feel the least about right now, just based on what everyone else has said. So I'm excited to hear anything, especially stuff we haven't heard before, because what I have heard so far it isn't particularly impressive to me. I do want to hear, similarly to what I said about Evelyn, about his relationship with Memphis, and how far he intended to take that, because Memphis was obviously painted as a very big threat very early on. So yeah, the Memphis relationship specifically, what he wanted to do with that if Memphis wasn't blindsided without him, and
Mhm.
everything about his game. And I don't know if there's anything I don't want to hear from him.
Okay. Lily, can you speak on it now? Because I feel like I should come
yes.
to Memphis last.
I definitely want to know why. Uh, well, I feel like he wasted my time. It's the same thing for Josh, but I want to know what the thought process was there because I don't know. To me, it didn't make sense, but obviously they went to the end. I just want to know more because I'm selfish and want to know my own personal demise better. Um, and I want him to own up to what are the flaws of his game, um, because it definitely was not flawless. So
Mhm.
I want to know that he has that self awareness of like, yeah, Lily, I kind of failed you and did not talk to you as well as I should have. Like, that would be great.
So you don't want to hear too much hubris, is what we're
Sure,
saying.
yes, yes.
Okay, cool. And then Memphis.
yeah, I think I want to hear something similar to Mike in the sense of like what was his intention with me and like when he wanted to get rid of me. Because me personally, I want to get rid of him around probably 4 or 5 because I knew if I was sitting in the end with Jake, I wouldn't like our relationship being secret and stuff. Like, who are you gonna credit for it? Right? Like he needed to be sitting there without me and vice versa. Just like I want to hear that intentionality from him and like what he thought was gonna happen with that. And then one thing that I don't want to hear is him be super apologetic because he is such a genuine person and like he's so nice. I think sometimes he sacrifices that with like his intentionality with things where it's like he covers it with like, oh, like I was just trying to be nice to you with like something that I feel like he may be doing with Lily where like why he wasted her time. He should just say it. Like I was trying to distract you. Like I wanted to pander for your vote, but like I'm scared he's not gonna do that. And it's like I don't want to hear him be apologetic. I want to hear like the strategy he was talking about. or that
Okay.
he's playing with.
Perfect. Right. Let's finally move on to Josh then. Strengths of Josh's game. Who wants to start? Scott?
That man is a smooth talker. Like he really has the ability to get you on a call, make you feel like he's your best friend, talk to you for 2, 3 hours, and then vote you out. So like he's definitely good at getting into your heart and wheeling and dealing and just making you do what he wants to do. Because for a lot of the game I did what he wanted me to do. So, and then he voted me out. So I just think he's a big smooth talker, and that's a big strength of his game.
Okay.
I think that can be a weakness too, though, because it's like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's you think that it's like he's such a smooth talker, but it's like, what is the point of doing that? Like how Justin was feeling with like him promising him all these things and then cutting him. It's like you do all the effort, but like you need to know when to not do that and when to do it. And I think that like he's a smooth talker, but when you ask him a question that like really makes him think, he's not. I don't think he's good on his feet.
That's fair. That is fair, yeah.
Since the current topic is strengths, I'll just say that as I was talking about jurors coming in and saying stuff about the players, Topher said so much stuff about Josh, which kind of I didn't care about at all because it mostly boiled down to I worked with Josh, so I'm just going to talk him up as much as possible. But the first time I heard something about someone's game that made me really think, oh man, I'm probably going to vote for this person to win, is when Justin was talking about why he was so bitter at Josh. I thought that was awesome. Like he was actually playing Survivor, and that's the most I felt I could really tell one of these people was really playing and really wanting to win out of anything that anyone said coming into jury.
I'll add
Okay.
on. I feel like Josh was the person who I felt I could go to. So when Justin and Scott, threw me to the wolves 2 times in a row and lied straight to my face multiple times with a bunch of bullshit, the first person I went to, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I wasn't gonna let y'all do that to me a third time. So immediately, in my pain and suffering, I go to Josh and I'm like, Josh, we need to do something, uh, and that's where I was, where even to the point where Jake was like, hey, let's call. But then Josh said, hey, we can call. And I'm like, hey, Jake, can you wait a little bit longer? Can we do this time instead? Because I wanted to talk to Josh first, because I wanted to see, Josh, where are you at? Because if you want to vote Jake, I'm on your boat. Take me with you. If you're voting Scott, I am voting Scott. Whatever you want to do. I wasn't going to do that for Jake, and I probably wasn't even really going to do that for Evelyn, I would say. It was Josh was the person that I went to.
Okay. Justin?
I think a really huge strength of Josh's was like he was in the limelight. I think like pretty much every week. Like I he was in a power position and he was able to keep himself in a power position even if at merge like he did find himself in minority that one time, like he was able to like rebuild himself, find the people he needed to work with, and completely like ran, I would say almost ran this game like from like 9 on, besides like here and there, like the Memphis vote. Like I'm like genuinely really impressed like with his ability to kind of like make himself kind of like the lead person that everyone needs to go to for like information or just as a vote, but also like dumb himself down to a point where like people don't look at him as like the main threat. Because knowing me, if I played with an ounce of smartness, like I would have, when Josh is like a big threat, Josh needs to go early on. But he made me feel so good with him that I was like, I need Josh in this game. Josh wants to bring me to final three. Like that's the T. Like I want to keep this guy around. And I feel like he made a lot of people feel like that. And I think that's really, really, really impressive. But as Memphis once said, yeah.
You muted. What you said, as Memphis once said.
As you like, I was kind of like reiterating, like kind of like what your point you made up as like also a weakness type thing. Like, yeah, that. But I don't want to like quote it all, because I kind of forgot.
Well, one thing I want to highlight with that too is like when I went out at my vote,
I was like very gung ho of like why I wanted Josh out, and I was very analytical with it. Like the things that I gave is because like if he made it to the end, he would be the strongest. Like he has Topher like vying for him the most, and it's like I do think that he played the cleanest game up at that point. If it was because like to me, Jake was like with me locked in, but like Josh was opposite of me, and I feel like he was playing the best game opposite of me. And at that point, like it's like I was locked in with Justin. I was never gonna vote Justin out, and Justin turned on me to continue working with Josh. And it's like he believed Josh over me, even though my intentions were clear. And it's like I think that is impressive that Josh was able to do that because it's like Justin's on the jury, and if Justin didn't vote me out, we'd both be sitting there. So I think that's like really impressive that he was able to like turn that around.
I would say adding on to that, uh, earlier his Final Four drop was mentioned as a negative, but I do think it is very impressive that he was able to lose and not be the target, as he was seemingly the biggest threat. And I think players in the game should have been able to recognize that. And I do understand, being scared of Justin with all of his tribe mates on the jury. And it is possible Justin would be able to take him out, beat him in the jury vote. But that Josh wasn't seemingly more heavily considered by everyone else does speak a lot to his game.
Okay. Justin?
I would like to kind of go at that and just say, like, at 4, even though I was already, like, the comp is over, I was pushing for Evelyn to go home. And then I was like, oh, Josh and Jake don't want me to go in Final Four. I was like, Evelyn, let's vote out Josh. Evelyn still didn't want to vote out Josh, even though Josh was, like, the clear person that was, like, pretty much running things. And even I was okay with sitting next to Josh in the end when I felt like he was the one with a lot of power and control in this game. Like, I think that is really good for him.
Okay.
I think
Memphis?
I think one thing that is like I don't know if it can speak to Josh's game or not, but I think like those three have like littermate syndrome where it's like dogs or puppies are born and it's like specifically with the puppies that they're with, they can get territorial with other dogs because they're so locked in with each other. And it's like I think all the trauma they went through together, it's like even if Jake was at the bottom, whatever, it's like they were sticking together no matter what. And it's like I don't know if it wasn't because they were like blinded to the game Josh was playing. It's like they didn't know any other way. They like had become so locked in with each other that they were going to go to jam with each other no matter what. Where it's like I don't think that highlights any specific game. It's like the circumstances that brought them there. So I do think that Josh played a great game in that sense, which like he wanted people to work with him. But it's like I think that specific thing where they didn't want to turn on him is it's like Evelyn has voted with him every single time. Why would she vote to keep Justin?
I will say this is slightly off topic, but that does bring kind of a good thing I do want to hear about them is were they working with people based on who they wanted to get to the end with, or were they working with people based on a very base level of friendship or who was loyal to them? Like how much was everyone thinking about their end game? Who wanted this final three the most is an important question, I think.
I think we've covered Josh's strengths pretty well, I think. So let's move on to weaknesses of his game as you folks see it. Anyone want to start?
I think his weakness is kind of pretty much what Memphis said earlier, is that he didn't know when to cut off his promises and making people feel good. Like he like I think making me feel good benefited him because like I wasn't gonna vote him, but like he made me feel like I was sitting in that final 3 no matter the outcome of who won immunity and stuff like that. And like obviously that's not just his fault because obviously everyone voted me out, but like I think he just really made people feel so good to the point where like I feel like it made us bitter towards him coming in here a little bit because he voted us out, if you know what I mean.
I
Yeah.
do think he was very player focused rather than juror focused. We did have a lot of really good talks at my final 8 round, so maybe he readjusted from that. But or sorry, final 9. But at final 10, when he did think I was going, he didn't reach out to me very much. I do think I actually tried to talk to him more than he talked to me, which is huge. But he yeah, didn't really try that much when he thought I was unanimously going out, especially if he knows that I'm coming from a tribe that has a bunch of people left. There's a decent chance if he makes it to the end, he's sitting next to people from my original tribe who I maybe have talked to a little bit. So I do think if you're sending out the first juror, the mayor of Ponderosa, you should probably try to make a little bit of an effort, especially if it's someone you don't know at all. Which he did remedy next round, but yeah.
Right.
I'm just gonna go back to the reminder of it was already kind of mentioned, but the not trying in competitions. That really bothers me. Maybe that's like a personal thing, but I want a winner who's like putting in all their effort. I don't care that Josh went, oh, I'm not gonna win this scavenger hunt challenge. I'm not gonna waste my time. To me, putting in at least some level of effort is part of what you need to do to show that you want to work hard and you care about the game. And I just think it shows some level of commitment. Submitting a score of 0, I don't like that. And then to find out that again, he had another situation where he sort of didn't really put in his best effort. Like, it's okay to lose. We all lose things. But I can't say that I went out not putting forth my best effort. And I think he sometimes didn't put forth his best effort, especially when it comes to the challenges. And I think it's still an important element of the game.
And like not only with that, but it's like it's one thing to put an effort with challenges and never win them or whatever it is, but it's also like why are you playing the challenges? For me, it's like I obviously never want to go home, but it's also like I don't want my opponent to get immunity. And I also want to have like the agency to control the vote, where it's like I think that maybe we could ask him a question about the challenges, like what was your strategy in these challenges? And if he says like, because what he told me about the scavenger hunt is what you said, where it's like he knew that he wasn't going to be able to do some of those things. It's like, why try? And it's like, why try? Because it's like you may have wanted Lily out of that round instead of Memphis. So it's like you try so you beat Lily so you can get her out. And it's like, I think that him not trying could have given him way more agency. And it's like, yeah, I don't like someone who quits and like doesn't do stuff. But it's like, I also want someone who gives themselves the best like blueprint in the game. And it's like him not trying in challenges didn't do that for himself. And like what Mike was saying, where it's like, yeah, was it like, it attests to his game where it's like he can drop in that challenge and still have people pick him. But like, was that his strategy or did he just not care?
Mike.
I do want to ask, as someone who wasn't there for the scavenger hunt, how ridiculous were these scavenger hunt items? Was it normal stuff or was it insane stuff?
A
It,
little bit of both.
yeah, I would say a little bit of both, but like there were some 1 point items where you could easily just go into your kitchen and you could get a point.
Was it
Like
like
a
a
whisk,
fork or stuff?
a whisk, a spoon, like a candle if you have a candle.
Shampoo.
A pair of
Like,
scissors.
There was
Like
plenty of things where he could have at least just, submitted a
Mhm.
bare minimum list.
gone to Target like I did and literally just easily whip out like 20 things on the
Mhm.
list.
Well, just
All
to be clear here, I want to throw out for the scavenger hunt. I don't know how much you guys realize how much time I put into that score that I got. It was an insane amount of time that I put in because I cared so much about the game and about giving myself the best chance. And so when I spend literally hours driving around finding a Texas license plate. You guys, I went to a Texas Roadhouse. I go into that Texas Roadhouse and I go, can I look around for a Texas license plate? I found a Willie Nelson Texas plate that I take a picture of and go, can you count this? No, I continue driving around and I find that Texas license plate in the last 30 minutes. So when I put in all that effort and then 0, come on, he could have gotten 10. Sorry, anyway, okay. Tangent over.
It's
All
like
right.
with that, like
Not to continue the tangent, what was the best item there? Because that's a pretty good one. And I love a scavenger hunt. I hate to go off topic, but just one thing, please.
Oh my God. I mean, the hardest one to find was the Texas
Yeah.
license plate. I went to an auto show. It was so hard. And I randomly found the PT Cruiser driving around. That was great. Yeah, it was.
Nice.
well, one thing that I will say with that too is it's like Josh didn't like he used it as an excuse that you tried so hard on it after. Like he had no way of knowing that you would try that hard. So it's like, who knows? Like someone might have been like how Scott was saying, like the person who won might have just gone to Target and found like 15 things, and that was all they did. But it's like Josh had no idea of knowing that, and it's like he still didn't try. And one thing that I think can highlight that is it's like, I don't know if you knew, Mike, but I couldn't compete in that challenge because I chose to play for Vito in the Big Brother thing. And there was one part of it where it's like of the challenge where if you got 3 alumni of Distortion to like send videos saying whatever that like I don't know exactly what it was, but basically cheering for you in the game, you submitted that, then you get points for it. I submitted that and I couldn't even play. So it's like I got more points than Josh did and I couldn't play. So it's like to me, it's like I don't know. It's a little silly that he didn't do anything.
And I know he could have gotten that because he's been in the org community a while, and I'm sure he knows 3 people that have played Distortion.
It takes 3 Instagram DMs. That's it.
I literally I sent out a bunch of messages and got 5 when I only needed 3. Like it was that easy.
Yeah.
I haven't hosted a game in 5 years, and I've hosted Josh, so like he definitely has contacts. Okay. Any more weaknesses before we move on to Scott?
I think I'll just bounce off the jury management. Like, I mean, I know we all, me, myself included, could work on the jury management, but just like knowing, like, I do have a question. Did he know, Justin, did he know that Jake had that idol?
The reason
What was that? Sorry.
the reason why Josh told me he had the idol is because he figured out that Jake had it.
Okay. So he told me that Jake did not have it. So the fact that like he knew Josh had it and that I was potentially going home after like Jake said Josh's name to me and I ran to Josh and told him and was like, Jake said your name. I don't know if it's true or not, but like I don't want you to go. Like, and then like just like sweet talked my ass into thinking I wasn't going, and then I went. Like, I don't know. Now I know why you all feel bitter. Like with like me lying to you because it's like it's not fun. Like I just think the jury management, like me going in there, I didn't know that he did that, but then finding out from Justin, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm so glad that Josh kept me. He's like, oh boo, Josh did not keep you. I'm like, well, damn. Like it's not a fun moment. So
I
yeah,
think it's like
sorry.
everyone's biggest thing is that, well, I was just saying like as weakness, like everyone's biggest thing was that like his jury management was bad. It was just like, and like in that sense, it's like, can you always like disagree with that? Where it's like he did play a really good game and he was able to lie to us, where you like fully believe that it was him who voted to keep you when he didn't. He like was one of the ones who voted you out. And it's like, is that a highlight or is it a weakness? Because it's like there's a fine line of like how much can you really banter with both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that that's an interesting big weakness to have because it varies so much from person to person. Like Justin brought it up as such a big point, but by the sounds of it, Justin still kind of leans Josh. And for people who aren't Justin, it doesn't really matter how bad his jury management was with Justin for the most part. And I brought up a hypothetical, but it was like to me and also not really what happened. So it does, I think, does show a general weakness, but it's such a particular individualistic weakness that is important, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in general.
It is important where how you said it's like individual, but like you have to know your jury. Like I think that I had a pretty good read on every single person here and like how they would feel about certain things. Why I didn't go for Evelyn because I knew Lily could be upset about it. With Scott, Josh knew that Scott was emotional about Cody and why he chose to put Cody on the block. Well, he had other reasons, but like that was a main thing. And it's like Josh should have known that Scott is particularly fragile when it comes to certain things. And it's like he chose to still not protect that more, where it's like, yes, you can only do so much, but it's like when you know your jury and how they're going to be, it's like you have to choose those things wisely. Like if you're being strategic about who you vote out, you have to be strategic about those conversations too. And it's like you can't disown one thing just because you're so focused on the other. Like it's like if you feel like you're strategic and you're thinking about everything, then you have to be thinking about everything, where it's like he clearly wasn't thinking about relationships.
Yeah. And to bounce off that, he also, like, I don't know, I considered to have like become really good friends with Josh. Like we talked about meeting up after this. He lives 30 minutes away from me. And like, I don't know, like I take things really personally. Like, and like you're right, I'm very fragile. And the fact that like I found out that he was just kind of like feeding me bullshit, like up until the very moment that I left, I was like, damn, like, and I can't be mad because I've done it too, but it didn't feel nice. Like, and I'm like, up until yesterday, I was like, oh, I want to vote for Josh. I want to vote for Josh. But then when I found out at like, well, 3 o'clock in the morning, my time, that he didn't keep me, I'm like, well, shit. I don't think I want to vote for him. Yeah, sorry, you can go.
No, well, no, I wasn't trying to interrupt. I was just saying like I want next, but it's like I think with what you're saying, and that kind of also like speaks to the pros of Josh's game, is that I talked to Scott every single day
You
since
did,
the
yeah.
game. We got on calls every single day, and Scott still voted me out. Where it's like Josh was able to do something to get in there, where it's like I don't know what the intentions were, what Josh was able to like for lack of a better word, but like itch in Scott's brain that like made Scott want to work with him or keep him more. Where it's like I was actually putting the effort with you every single day, doing all these things, constantly like talking you down when you're upset about things. And I don't know if Josh ever did that, but Josh still got you on his side more than I could. And to me, that's like very interesting where it's like, was he just like lying and bullshitting? But it's like he still was able to do it, and that's interesting to me.
Well, one reason, and this isn't technically going off topic because it is about Josh. One of the main reasons was like he made me believe that the round that you left, like that, like you were going around getting them to say my name, and they weren't the ones saying my name.
I feel like I can add to this. It kind of stemmed from when you put me up
Okay.
on TV night. I said on the call that obviously I'm gonna target Scott from now on.
Yeah, and you told me that. Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that that they took that opportunity to take advantage of you, because they were going to run with that, and they would prefer to work with you. So they were going to do anything that they could to make you even more so want to be on their side, right? You weren't going to come to me or come to Memphis and say, "Oh, they were saying this about you." You weren't going to do that. So I don't know. Is that a testament to Josh's game, to Jake's game,
I
to
think it's a little bit of both, but sorry to interrupt you, but I will say, you're so right. They got in my brain and kind of turned me against two of my closest allies. So like that, and like I apologize big time because that sucks. But I mean, I guess it's strengths in their game and weaknesses in their game. They got one person to turn against like his number one and number two from the beginning of the game. So
And like one thing, like this isn't really going off topic, but it's like I think for you it's important to have this clarity about what happened on that vote in order for you to like think about how you're going to vote. But it's like with what Lily was saying, where it's like she was to in order to convince them that she was willing to vote you out, she had to use a real life scenario, which was like the fact that you put her on the block. So I was using that as well. I was like, I've talked to Lily extensively, like she's really upset. Like of course I'm willing to vote out Scott. So it wasn't me who like pitched your name, but I was telling them that I was going to vote you out because it's like I was able to lie to them about it. I don't think I necessarily knew how to handle that with you because I knew you'd be upset if you heard me talking about your name, and I should have just been honest with you. But it's like Lily said, they were able to talk about that and like manipulate you out of it, where it's like I was pro on your side since day one. So much so that I came to the jury and they said, "Who voted you out?" And I said Lily did. And I was in my brain upset with Lily because I never thought you would have turned on me. And so it's like that was again, I don't know if it's a testament to Josh or not, but I think the way that he talked to you about it was manipulative and sort of grimy because it's
played
like
me.
to
Yeah.
reach those points in your brain where it's like it just like it kind of crossed the line. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, he played me. And for that, I know this isn't about us, but for that, I truly am sorry to you, Memphis, and you, Lily, because they played me like a fiddle and it literally cost y'all your games.
he could have been the final three, but it's okay.
And four with Justin.
Justin said it was not so.
I do think my big takeaway from both the positives of his game and the negatives of his game section is that with Evelyn and Jake, we hear a lot about the times they lied to certain people, But with Josh, like he really tricked people, he snowed people, and a lot of it I think is going to come down with how much you see that as a positive and a negative.
When you say snowed, like it was almost like a mist. Like he had like a mist almost. Like he misted the fuck out of me. Like I was like, yes, Josh. Anything, Josh. I'll do whatever, Josh.
And I think what comes down to it with how we perceive it is how he perceives it and how he talks about it. And I think we need to open it up where we're not explaining it to him because then he can just ride with it. He'll be like, oh yeah, I did that, of course. Like we have to like ask it in a way that makes it think that like we aren't giving him anything where it's like, okay, like what was your intention with talking to certain people when they left? What was your intention with like getting Josh to vote Memphis out? We can't be like, oh, you convinced Scott and like what do you have to say about that? Because then he can just like kind of take what we said and use it. Like I want to hear his intentionality between all of it. Because if he can say like, yeah, I snowed you, like I didn't give a fuck about you. I'm not gonna meet up with you after this game. I wanted you to vote Memphis out, and that was my only task in that situation, then he's going to probably get my vote because he's able to talk about it. But if he trips over his words and says, no, Scott, like I wasn't trying to do that, like I always wanted to work with you, all that stuff, then it's just bullshit. And it's like I want to give him the opportunity to explain that without us like giving him like a layup, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, and I have every intention of asking him in my questioning, did you have any intention of going to the end with me? Because if he beats around the bush, then I'm gonna know he's lying because I don't think he had any fucking intention because he voted me out. And he got me to vote my allies out. So
this feels like the perfect time as we're veering in that direction to sort of go to discussing what we do and don't want to hear. I'll do it in alphabetical order this time. So, Justin, something you'd like to hear and something you wouldn't like to hear from Josh at Final Trouble.
Something I want to hear from Josh is just like I want to hear like what his end game intentions were. I feel like I know pretty much his from merge to like end game to like final five, I would say. Like I feel like I know his game really well. I just want to know like what was his mindset? Like did he do everything he could to like put himself in the best position like would like in an exam like in a world where me and Scott were in the like final four with him, like if that was gonna get him to the end or if like if he was pro Hercinian the whole time. Like I just want to know where he was at fully and like in the moment because like to me it just seems like he just wanted everyone to feel good with him so like he would always have everyone bringing him to the end. And a thing that I really don't want to hear from Josh is I don't know. I just like I want him to own his game and I want him to own his intentions. I don't want him to try to like beat around the bush and try to save people's feelings. Like I want him to be real. Like I know he's a game bot and like I know like if he needs to say his point, he'll say his point. But I don't want him to like try to make me feel good and like not mad at him. Like I want to be mad at him, but like that would make me vote him, you know? Because like I'm so mad in the moment. I don't want him to go, Justin, like this only happened because Jake won immunity. Like I want him to fucking own if he was giving me fourth the whole time or not.
Okay, perfect. Lily?
I just want him to be like really specific about what he did throughout the game and what he thinks are the positive things about his game. Yeah, I don't know anything in particular I wouldn't want to hear. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to make sure he's telling the truth. Yeah, I also don't want to just, I don't want to be just buttered up or anything like that. I just want him to say this is what it was and this is what I needed to do and this is how I did it.
Okay, perfect. Memphis?
Yeah, I think one thing that I want to hear specifically is like the allies, kind of what Justin was saying was like how he wanted to get to the end, but like the allies he chose to work with and why. Because the way I view it is like he chose allies that he can manipulate in a sense that were like especially receptive to his manipulation. And it's like he choose allies that would make him a better player or make his path to the end easier? Where it's like sometimes you need someone to talk through your game and be like, hey, like this is not a good idea, this is a bad idea. And it seems to me the way he played the game is that he talked to people in a way that like they just did what he wanted them to do and not like actually make his game better in a sense. And then one thing that I like don't want to hear from him is kind of like what Lily was saying, where it's like I don't know who said it, but like I don't want to hear him apologize for hurting people's feelings or whatever. I just want him to own it. And that's like the biggest thing, or say like, I'm sorry for voting out, you're like such a big threat. Like, I don't want to hear that. I want to know like why you voted me out, when you decided to, like all those things. So
Okay.
I also
Perfect.
want to hear with my vote out. Everyone's obviously egotistical and they always think about like why they were voted out. But Justin seems to have claimed my vote out as his move, and I want Josh I want to see if Josh claims that as his move or not, because I think there's a chance he might.
I also think he's gonna try to claim it. I think a big
Mhm.
part is that like he might have done like a little bit of the here and there. I think a big surge as to why you got voted out was because you went to me saying you wanted Josh out. I told Josh this and that, like, and then we rallied the troops and like Evelyn when you were saying it was Scott versus Evelyn type situation. Yeah. So like, I think he can claim a certain part of it, but not like all of it. I don't want to hear him claim the whole move because that wasn't the case one fucking bit.
Michael? So,
I would say throughout this process, we heard a lot about Evelyn's very specific moves and less about her general mindset and approach to this game. And most of what we've heard about Josh has been his general mindset and approach to this game, how he does a lot of tricking people, making them think that what's going to happen isn't actually what's going to happen. But we haven't heard that much about him actually making that stuff happen, the process of getting what he wants done. We've heard about how he covers up how it's going to happen. So I want to hear more about the specifics of what he wanted to happen and how he made it happen. And what I don't want to hear, I guess when he gets grilled on the challenge thing, I don't want to hear I threw to minimize my threat level because I think that's just dumb whenever anyone does it. No one thinks you're a threat because you're good at a jigsaw puzzle. It's only going to happen once.
and Scott.
Not to be self-absorbed, but I really do think I need to hear him. I mean, let's talk about stuff. But I really do need to hear him tell me that he was playing me and that he was manipulating me and that he was bullshitting me because we all know it. We all talked about it here. Like it was plain as day. I need him to own that he did that he fucked with my head and that he did that, like that he manipulated me. And one thing I don't want to hear is him pandering to me or him kissing my ass and saying, "Oh no, Scott, like that wasn't it. Like this is just how it was. I don't want over explanation. Like I want him to own it and I don't want him to kiss my ass."
Perfect. Marcus?
Yeah, I think one thing like with that, with like kissing ass and like hurting people's relationships is like we have all heard about like how he's managed relationships improperly. I want to hear how he's like managed relationships properly and like the damage control he did do. Because like one thing that I did with Lily, I with the Cody vote, we were planning on voting out Cody, and before we even went to live night, I told Lily it was happening. Where we originally didn't include Lily, but I told her, and like I think that drew her closer to me. I would hope that was my intention of it, and it's like I want to see if Josh did something like that with certain allies, like with Jake and Evelyn, who he was planning on working with, like what he did to bring them closer to him in that relationship management, and like if he was intentional with it, because like clearly he did so many things wrong with relationship management, but I want to see like the positives and the intentionality behind the relationship management.
Okay, perfect. So we've rounded off from Josh. I'm just quickly interested. I'm going to ask one of the same questions that I asked at the very beginning. Um, how many of you at this point would say that you're 90% is sure of who you're going to vote on Sunday? Okay,
I have a
interesting.
stronger idea. Nowhere near that confident though.
Okay, interesting.
But sorry, he cut out. I didn't hear what he said.
I just said this did clarify a lot of things, but I'm nowhere near 90%.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I've got 7-Eleven Wi-Fi, so.
I feel like I have too many questions. So yeah, I'm not even close. I still am leaning towards voting my good old pal Evelyn. I'm really proud of her. And I think that a lot of people always want a flashy game. And I'm sorry, a lot of people can't play that way. Like it just don't work. If I try to play some flashy game, I'm already automatically targeted just because of the way I play my social game. If I was trying to, no. So I really think that Evelyn is such an underdog. And so I definitely am leaning that way, but not even close. I have so many questions.
Oh. Scott?
Oh yeah. I also, just to bounce off what Lily said, I really do feel like Evelyn played a really good, like, under the radar game. Like the under the radar game that I wanted to play, but I can never play because I'm too much of a bitch and I whine too much. So I'm always like a big target just because people want to get me out because I'm annoying. But she literally like was never a target. Like it I mean she kind of was, but like it got what she was, but like she was it like got smaller and smaller. People was like, oh, we could vote out Evelyn, but we didn't. So like she played the game I wanted to play, but I'm too loud to play that type of game.
Justin?
I am so all over the place. I feel like after getting voted out, as soon as I got voted out, I was Team Josh. Then I thought about it after like I went to bed and I really just like really thought on it. And I realized I was like, I pissed in a cup for this game. I want someone that's gonna give like that gave that much dedication. And I was like, honestly, I feel like Jake in a way did that. And then I was like, okay, like I'm going into like Team Jake into tonight. And then after hearing this, like part of me is kind of Team Evelyn. I don't know because like I also love the under the radar game because like that's how I fully intended on playing this game, and I feel like I did that. And like I feel like Evelyn just did so well that like no one really like looked at her as much as they probably looked at me, and like it got her here, and I'm so impressed by that because that's a really hard thing to do. I think a lot of us can try to play an under radar game, and like her name did come up so freaking much, but like at the end of the day she was never the main target, even with like people that were like backing her up, and like with people that could like completely sink her game, and I think that's huge, and I'm really proud of her. I think I'm still going in 33, 33, 33. I think that's where I'm at.
That's
But
only 99%.
33.3, yeah, you
Recurring.
get it. You get it.
No. Perfect.
I think like I'm in a similar boat as Lily, where it's like obviously like I have a real life friend in the game, and it's like because I'm so close to Jake, like me not voting for him, I think would hurt his soul, and that like almost transcends the game for me. But I'm also someone who plays my game so intentionally, and I want to hear that from someone. So it's like if Evelyn played under the radar intentionally, she like got her name out of there intentionally. Like if she chose, like, yeah, like I wanted my allies to talk for me. I didn't want to be seen as a threat, like all this stuff. Like if I talked back too much, if I pushed my name out of your mouth, like it may like make you feel weird about me. If she can claim that and she can say that she was intentional with it, then I would be fully comfortable voting for her. And like same thing with Josh and same thing with Jake. Like Jake isn't the best speaker and I'm not expecting him to speak super well, but like if someone outspeaks him and it's like it convinces me to vote against my real life friend, then that is like pro for them, you know?
Perfect.
I would say, sorry,
No?
I know it's late, but the boat I'm most in is probably similar to Scott's, where the person who I'm leaning to right now is Josh, because, like Scott said, how Evelyn played the game he likes to play. Josh played the game I like to play when I'm at my peak. Like that's the kind of game I like to play when I'm in person or when I am in college and don't have a job. But where you
When you choose
talking
to
to
put, when
everyone,
you choose
lying
to
to
put an
everyone,
F.
getting them to believe in worlds that aren't real, getting to pull them out from under you. That's what I love. So that's probably why I lean to him because I see most of me in him right now. But yeah, again, comes all down to speeches.
Yeah, Lily, Mike heard you say that like if you don't put in effort, and then Mike was like, "Oh, that's me. Let me vote for Josh." Then
Exactly. Well, that's why I had to ask about the scavenger hunt. If it was ridiculous stuff, yeah, I wouldn't submit any of it either.
I don't think it was ridiculous, but you got 15 points if you like gave up your vote, if you like put in your true trust rankings, and if you like chose like to go backwards on the idol hunt. So it was like there's like commitment there, but those
Yeah.
were also
Did you?
I felt track. I actually realized though, I want to say the craziest thing that I did was doing the public rock, paper, scissors, asking someone to do rock, paper, scissors. Yo, I did this and was denied.
Oh,
Someone would not play with me. It was actually two people. I go, hi, I'm in a competition. Would you please help me out? It would mean so much. Like, I'm busy. No, you can ask him. And he's like, no. I'm like, oh my God. So, sorry. I just wanted to do that tangent because that was crazy. Anyway.
that's mortifying.
Well, I think we've discussed all three finalists at length. I'm pleased to hear that it sounds like there's going to be an interesting final tribal because all of you at least seem pretty open to all three. And that always makes for a fun time for the viewers. But yeah, thank you for all sharing your opinions, for being honest but keeping it respectful. I think you all did a great job. And I hope that all of you can enjoy Final Tribal and are able to vote for a winner that you're all proud of.